have joined. Anyway, so I'm going to start the slideshow now. Self-Care Wednesdays. Why wait for New Year's? So I'm Schuyler Bright. Hi, and just a real quick bit about me so you know why I'm offering this. I teach trauma recovery, yoga for trauma recovery and other holistic means through 5 Sense Care, and I offer this as online as well as have through our local correctional facility, Sierra County Drug Court and Behavioral Health, Sierra Nevada Children's Services, Carice Youth Center for wards of the court, Earl Jameson for kids with excessive truancy, and I offer trainings for professionals, mental health professionals, as well as for yoga teachers and Ayurvedic professionals, how to be more trauma informed, and then for mental health professionals, how to be more body informed. So that's a little bit about me, and I'd love to get to know you a little bit better, which part of the offering of this is a 15-minute session, phone consultation, and we can just tune into what your individual needs might be and see if maybe working together might be a fit. And so we can schedule that at the end of the call. But why don't I just jump in so that if anybody else jumps on, that we can be on task and starting, as I like to start on time, but you know, life happens. So yeah, and if you could mute yourself and open the chat box if you have any questions, that'd be fabulous. So I wanted to start with a quote that sums up self-care for me. And that is, true self-care is not massages. I have in parentheses because the actual quote was salt baths, but I'm actually going to be recommending salt baths as part of this. So massages, you don't need to be rich to afford a massage every day and, you know, have chocolate cake all the time to feel like you're taking care of yourself. It is making the choices to build a life that you don't feel like you need to regularly escape from. So that's by Brianna West, and we'll move along in that vein. If you are feeling stressed, no matter how good your intentions, you are actually just giving stress to everyone you contact. On the counter side to that, if you feel well nourished, you naturally have the energy to nourish and nurture the people around you and those you love. So, oh, also, if you want to share your video, it helps me to have a direct communication and see who I'm sharing to. If you don't feel like it, that's okay too, but forgot to mention that. So back to nurturing and self-care. Why not start now, right? How many times have you made a New Year's resolution and not stuck to it? Right. So that happens to pretty much everybody every New Year's. Even if you say, I'm not going to make a New Year's resolution, there's something about the end of the holidays that, you know, after taking care of everyone else, that allows us to take a breath. We can start right now. Take a breath and feel like, okay, now that I've taken care of everybody else, I can take care of myself finally. So so let's start that now with expectations of gift giving, meal planning, and execution. And I don't mean executing the nearest person who snaps at you. Execution of a meal, cooking a meal, rushing, traffic, getting to holiday meals, not to mention traumatic memories. Who doesn't have some poignant memory of a holiday that did not go well? On the easy side of that spectrum, you know, other people, you know, who've lost someone meaningful, the holidays can actually represent a really hard time, and they tend to repeat themselves on anniversaries. So an ounce of prevention for this year is worth a pound of cure. That is the premise for this offering today. So going forward with that, if you have a regular schedule of self-care, think of a protective bubble around you. More difficult to pop. And if you think about it, when you're feeling low energy or low immunity, it's like every little thing feels like it cuts like a knife. It's easier to take things personally. Um, you know, if we have a thicker skin, if you will, then we feel like things can just roll off a little easier. And that's what balanced meals, sleep schedule that is prioritized, and balanced daily routines can help us build. So we've heard all of this before, and ultimately it's up to us to just start putting one foot in front of the other and committing to that before this hectic holiday time. So starting with the daily activities, thinking about how we start our day. A lot of people just start their day with a cup of coffee, right? So instead, think about pouring some hot water, even if it's just like 2 sips or half a cup. Maybe add a squeeze of lemon, maybe, which is really great for alkalizing before starting a day of, most people have a pretty acidic diet. So it's just nice to start on the right foot with a little bit of alkalinity. And honey, it might sound strange if you're trying to lose weight, but honey is actually one of the most reducing substances on the planet, helping to reduce tissues. So it's really actually the best thing if you want to A, lose weight, B, if you want to just start your digestion. And the counter to that would be coffee, which has a bitter taste no matter how much sugar or ice cream or whatever you put in it. I put ice cream in mine, but no matter how sweet you try to make it, it is acidic, and but it has a bitter taste as well. So it closes down digestion, which is why you don't feel like eating until lunch, or if you've had a whole pot of coffee, maybe not till 4 o'clock. So start your day with hot water, lemon and honey if you feel like, but at least the hot water. And you'll probably feel hungry afterwards. Eat. Give your body something to go on for the day. It's going to mean everything for your patients, for your clients, and for other people that you love. And then the next bullet point is exercising with a friend. Now, it could be any kind of activity, stretching, strengthening, something with cardio, whatever you are likely to do. If it's 2 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can do, even if it's just breathing deeply for 2 minutes, that can actually get the metabolism going, especially with the addition of the hot water, lemon, and honey. So those are just a couple ideas to start your day. In terms of meals, ideally, I know it's not possible all the time for everybody, but we could eat 3 meals of organic, whole, seasonal foods each day, eaten at regular times. It does the world for our body to know when we can expect the next meal, to not feel like we're running on empty, to give us brain power and clarity of speech and intention throughout our day. And just because I'm talking about it, I'm going to start keep reminding myself to breathe. So that's a good reminder for you too, if you'd like. Right. And then making lunch our largest meal is ideal for when the sun is highest in the sky. The enzymes and acids in our belly are also the highest. And so they are most likely to be able to break down your biggest meal. Just one quick tip. One of my teachers mentioned in class that one of her clients, who was like 400 pounds, was not able to follow any recommendation that she gave until this one. And he ate lunch as his largest meal, very simple breakfast and simple dinner like soup. He ate whatever he wanted around, between noon and 2. And he lost 100 pounds just doing that. So start that now. I know it's sometimes hard when you're, trying to get stuff done through the middle of the day, but if you can pack a lunch or something, you don't have to stop for as long, and really prioritize that meal. And eating your last meal 3 hours before bed, make sure that your body's not on overdrive trying to break down food that, you know, while it should be sleeping. So, and then just a slide to bring awareness to how to be as mindful as possible while you are eating. Thanking your food before consuming helps you slow down so you don't wolf it all down in 3 bites. And then it's gone, right? So if we thank our food, or even just take 3 breaths before we eat, starting with 1 right there, then we are also conscious of, you know, all the hands that have brought this to our plate, and it brings gratitude into our meal, which always helps with what we are actually consuming. We're not consuming rush, we're consuming gratitude. How does that not rub off on the people around us? So then that maybe slowing down leads us to chewing thoroughly, tasting and savoring our food, and sipping water through our meals really helps to, warm water especially, it helps to think of not putting our fire out, our digestive fire out before eating. What fire works well? Having a whole cup of water, especially cold water, poured on it just before you're trying to light a bunch of logs on fire. It doesn't work that well. So especially not ice water. Room temperature is better, but warm water is best. Like ginger tea for some people, that might be too hot for some, but for others, if it doesn't give you burning indigestion, ginger tea, especially fresh ginger tea, excellent digestive aid. Eating to 75% full is, you can think of a washing machine that if you put it 100% full with clothes, nothing gets clean. Same thing with our belly. If we have a little bit of room, like 20%, 25% of room in our belly, then the food can move around and all the acids and enzymes can cover every surface of the food to allow for full metabolism and digestion. And then we can sit to digest and enjoy the company that we're with for a little bit, or enjoy some music and just get that digestive system started, and then move on with washing your dish or whatever you are going back to work with your computer or whatever you do. So then bedtime routines to get exquisite sleep is to start preparing early, just like we start preparing with our day for a fantastic day. You know, if you sleep in and don't have breakfast and are running late for work, you're constantly playing catch up for your whole day. That prepares you for a poor quality of a day, and certainly poor quality of enjoyment, because you're always just playing catch up. Similar to bedtime routines. If you know, plop on the couch to watch TV or a movie at 9 o'clock as your bedtime routine, your mind is just going with the constant stimulus of the electricity as well as the stories that are playing out in front of you. If you can turn off your electricity about an hour before you plan to fall asleep, especially if you have insomnia or difficulty sleeping, this, you know, the quality of the sleep that you have leads you to the quality of energy you're going to have the next day, right? So starting about 9 at night, if you try to go to bed at 10, or this time of year, why not take advantage of longer darkness and try going to bed even earlier? Lighting candles instead of electricity, having some nutmeg in some warm milk, or nut milk if you are not a fan of or able to digest full milk, whole milk. Kicking your legs up a chair in the bottom right corner of this slide, I'm demonstrating just how nice it looks. It really feels even better to kick your legs up a chair, flatten your back on the floor, maybe lift your wrists with a blanket or a pillow on each side, and that just helps set your shoulder blades, but the upper end of your shoulder blades onto the floor, which allows for a little bit greater openness through the chest, which allows for greater, deeper breaths. And the legs lifted helps to flatten your spine entirely and lengthen it so that the intervertebral discs are not compressed. They have a little bit of space to let the cushion expand, and it just feels divine. It's set up for creating more grounding and calming through the entire nervous system. 10 minutes of this is equal to a 3-hour power nap. So you could call this power legs up the chair if you want. And close your eyes, don't close your eyes, whatever, but it really is great for pressing the reset button on your nervous system when you don't have a lot of time in the middle of your day to get a little rest, or perfect right before bed. You could meditate, you could take a bath with Epsom salts and your favorite essential oils, or massage yourself with oil mixed with your favorite essential oils. But my question to you is, what will you do? And what will you do for 40 days? They say it takes 40 days to make or break a habit. So if you set an intention now and start doing the activity tonight of one of these things, pick something now that you like and that you are likely to do, and then do it successfully for at least a week before adding anything else on. And then once you have like a 75% success rate, so if you plan to do it, say 4 days a week, and you do it 3 days a week, that's 75% success. Then add another idea. And in that way, we can grow change. Now, that is difficult to discipline yourself to do. Like say, okay, I'm going to make these 2 minutes every morning and just breathe and set my intention for the day. But if you don't write yourself a note or have someone to call you on it and to be able to report into it, it's very difficult. So that's a lot of my business, is just helping be someone's cheerleader. And if you are not understanding why, that we can talk about why. And if you're just having a challenge, we can find a way around it or through it. Together is always easiest. Okay, now this is probably what you tuned in for, especially if you heard me on the radio. De-escalation 101, lengthening the exhale, is key because it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. We've all been told and heard, starting with our mothers, right? Take a deep breath if you're feeling upset. And my daughter all the time is like, when she's upset, I can't breathe, even though she's breathing, but she's just not taking a deep breath. And she's certainly not able to listen to me to lengthen the exhale. But if you have enough thinking brain online to be able to do that, lengthening the exhale, we could practice it right now. The more we practice it, the more likely it is going to be for it to be an actual option when you are heightened and stressed or triggered. So let's just do a couple of those breaths right now. And as we inhale, let's count to 3. And as we exhale, let's count to 6. And you can purse your lips like blowing bubbles. And that sort of helps you measure the exhalation. Okay, so let's try a couple of those all together. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling. And I'll count one more time. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Exhale out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you can practice that breath during your morning exercise or during your legs up the chair, even better. That kind of regular practice, just again, will make it an option when the stakes are higher. So the other thing is, because our mind gets hijacked to the past whenever we get triggered, our thinking brain, it's like it's unplugged. It goes offline, not available. So we need to have practices to bring us back to the present moment so that we can realize that right now you are not being threatened. Perhaps you are, perhaps your worldview is being threatened, especially if you have people on the other side of the political spectrum that you are at that holiday dinner with. But first of all, if you lengthen that exhale, it'll calm your nervous system. Just breathing helps to bring attention and blood and energy back to your thinking brain. And then try pressing your hands together, or pressing your hands into your chair or onto your legs or into a wall to just help re-presence yourself into this moment. And then whatever your mom or uncle or whoever asks that awkward question that you don't want to answer, after that breath with the lengthened exhale, turn the question on them and then re-presencing with your hands and feet. Why do you want to know? You know, well, I just care about you, honey, you know, or whatever. You can just acknowledge, well, that was really an awkward question. I really love you, and it makes me feel uncomfortable to answer that right now. So I'll answer that a little bit later if you feel like it, or I don't feel the need to answer that question right now. And spend most of your time with people who boost your spirits and make you feel good and that honor your choices. And then finally, make lollipop moments. If you haven't seen the TED Talk with the guy, look up lollipop moments. He is an average looking guy who spends his TED Talk asking people, you know, how many of you feel like you are born leaders? Not that many people raise their hand. Well, he made a difference in a girl's life by, when he was in college, wearing this funny hat and handing out lollipops. And he gets to this girl in line who had just been telling her, or was just about to open her mouth to her parents and say, I don't want to go here. I don't want to go to college. I want to turn around and go home with you. And he opened his mouth to the guy standing next to her and said, you really need to give this lollipop to the most beautiful girl in the world standing right next to you. And the guy next to him was just sort of like deadpan, and like he did what he asked, but he was like frozen. But that girl found him 4 years later and said, you made all the difference to me between not pursuing my dreams of going to college and going home in fear. Thank you. So a lollipop moment is one of those moments that you tell somebody what they mean to you and how important they are. We are not going to have any time on our deathbed that we're wondering, wishing we worked more. Instead, we are wondering, gosh, why didn't I tell my kids or my mom or whoever that I love them more often? So with that, I leave you with a breath. And for more information on future webinars, please visit my website. Also in the chat box, you can see on my classes page, holistictraumarecovery.org/classes that you can visit to register for my next webinar, next Self-Care Wednesday. I'll also put some notifications on my Facebook page to remind people. That'll be January 8th at 11 a.m. And if you are listening, interested in more, please register. Please reach out on my Facebook page, like my Facebook page, Holistic Trauma Recovery Institute, and ask questions. So also, if you are here right now and not watching this on a recording, we can talk about, I wonder if I can stop the video and still talk to you. Or maybe Gwen, why don't we talk on, talk by email, since we're already in contact on email, and to schedule that 15-minute phone call, okay? All right, thank you so much. Have a lovely holiday season. Don't forget that lengthened exhale. Bye-bye.